All right. Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered. I'm Joey. This is my brother, and we're going to be discussing Viking movies today. Now, let's see what they have in store for us this coming year for Viking films, and what they're going to do compared to what they did in the past with Viking films. Let's take a deep dive on just the recent films they've released when it comes to the Nordic region, like the Northmen. And there's been, maybe a handful of movies. Those movies don't really exist anymore. It's a dying breed.
Absolutely. That's the one thing. I've been watching a lot of these movies for the last 2 weeks, and I was surprised. I thought there's going to be like hundreds of Viking or Northman movies. There really only is like 4 mainstream movies. There's a lot of B movies, and this genre has moved more on the TV portion. So we have the show Vikings. We have The Lost Kingdom, which is on Netflix. And like I said, good shows for the first 2 or 3 seasons. Then it kind of went off the rails after that. But the genre is not as rich as I thought it was. And I was surprised by the lack of these movies actually being made in their native countries. There isn't a lot of movies from Iceland. There isn't a lot of movies from Denmark. There isn't a lot of movies from Norway, which I was very, very surprised.
Why do you think they do that? Why do you think, those people don't make enough Viking movies? It's usually the Western culture. I mean, I know we had Hollywood here and everything, so it's easier to make film. But why don't they make film about their own culture? I mean, most of their film seems like it's based on Western culture, and our interpretation of Viking films can be far-fetched sometimes, like very diluted. I was going in thinking the Northman would have been that definitive Viking film for this generation.
Yeah.
I was let down. I don't know what Nordic people think about that, but I didn't think it was great, and they built it up to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really the lack of these movies is that in order for you to make a good epic, as far as a Viking epic, you need a big budget, and I don't think a lot of these countries have the kind of budget you need. You probably need at least 50 million to 100 million just to build the sets. You're going to have to build a village. You have to build ships. It has to look authentic.
Yeah.
And I just think that I don't think a lot of these countries have the budget as far as to make these movies. But like I said, you can make a good movie as long as you keep it under a certain amount of budget. And I think with the way Hollywood is, because Hollywood is not making a lot of epics, I think it's going to be one of these countries. If they do make a good movie in the upcoming years, it's going to have to be Norway or Denmark or, Iceland. One of these countries has to make a movie about their own people the right way, because these movies are not being made in Hollywood. I mean, they have kind of been outcast. And I mean, you saw what happened with Gladiator 2 this year. It was a complete disaster. And like I said, Hollywood is just not willing to put the money for this kind of movies. And if this genre is going to be saved, it's going to be one of those countries that does it.
Why is Hollywood failing? They can't even make film like Gladiator anymore, let alone Viking films. Even the film that they used to rely on back in the day, just Spartacus, Moneymaker, bunch of those films they were releasing in the 60s and 70s where, all you had to do is have a gladiatorial event and it'll make you money. You could release it in the theater. Even currently, modern day whether it's Rome, whether it's those mini series, those are about to die. Who gives a shit? They are still putting that stuff out, and it's a moneymaker. Now, here comes Ridley Scott, acclaimed director, one of the best of all time to ever do it. Makes Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2. Why the fuck are you calling a movie Gladiator 2 to begin with, right?
Yeah,
it should be something totally different since Maximus and whatever. We already covered this in the first episode. But the most unoriginal title, just tag Gladiator 2 on it. Let's hope it sells. Now, if they can't make those movies, they used to be a hit time after time. What makes you think they're gonna make a good fucking Viking film?
Yeah, I mean, I've lost faith in Hollywood to make this kind of movies, and even if they do, it's gonna be a lot of variety as far as we're gonna bring in people from. We need to have this gender represented, this race needs to be represented, and it's not going to be authentic. It's just going to ruin the whole authenticity of the motion picture. And like I said, these movies are made from, predominantly from people from Iceland. Like I said, there's a lot of great actors, in Hollywood, like, from Norway, like you got Mads Mikkelsen. You got the Skarsgårds, Alexander Skarsgård, Bill Skarsgård. You got Waldo from the Game of Thrones. Like, there's a lot of good actors coming from, Joe Kinnaman, that is coming. The guy that played RoboCop.
It's sad because I feel like his career took a dive. I don't know why. I actually like that guy's all his film.
Yeah.
And like that last John Woo movie, I felt like it was okay, but to take the man's dialogue away, there's no way he's going to succeed in a film that's, he's going to be the mute.
Yeah. He was bound to fail, just based on that trailer. But there is a lot of actors. Like, my point is, there's a lot of, not just actors, but there's a lot of stars from those areas and from these countries. And like I said, the people are there. All you need is the studios to believe that we can make these movies. And I think it can definitely happen. But like I said, my expectation is if there is going to be a great Viking movie, it's not coming from Hollywood. It's going to be one of those other countries that makes it. And like I said, we'll see what happens. But I watched a lot of movies over the last 2 weeks. A lot of movies I hadn't seen. Like on some of the movies I never even heard of. And a lot of this stuff is actually hard to find. And it's not good quality. So I'm just going to start with the list. Like I said, we're going to make this top 7 movies.
Because we couldn't even find fucking 10.
Yeah.
So it has to be 7.
Yep. And obviously, like I said, we talked about the shows. You got The Lost Kingdom. We got Vikings. Great shows. The first couple of seasons went off the rail. I did want to mention, because this has been a genre for me, is because the Vikings came in and discovered America before Columbus, and I always wanted to see that story. Like, what was it like before? We're talking about 1200 BC, 1300 BC. What was it? What was America like? What was the native life in here? And a movie that did that was Pathfinder, so I'm just gonna mention it. I watched the movie again. I watched the uncut version, and it really isn't great. The cast is good. The Vikings look ferocious in the movie, and they look menacing. But there is a lot of slow motion. There is a lot of fake blood. I don't know what the budget of this movie was, but it wasn't what it needed to be. And the story kind of lacks. It's more like a chase movie that they're being dragged across. They get basically taken slaves, the Indians, by the Vikings. They have to guide them to a certain area, and basically it's kind of like a chase movie. But it falls flat because the action scenes are not good, and it's meant to be an action movie.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Carl Urban is in it.
He's great, but in general. Like,
Yeah.
that movie is no special feat for him.
Exactly. And I don't know if you've seen this movie, if you have any thoughts, but like I said, I watched it again recently. Didn't change my thought. It's not a great movie.
Was that the one with the CGI? The slow motion.
Yeah, there's a lot of slow motion, a lot of
every action scene is in slow motion.
Yeah.
In this fucking movie. No, I don't have anything on that movie. I mean, I watched it for what it was. I didn't take it for anything more than just a time killer.
yeah.
It wasn't a fucking movie you even watch in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It should be released on Netflix.
Absolutely. And another movie I watched that was interesting is this movie called Outlander. It came out in 2009. It's basically Predator meets the Vikings. It's like a sci-fi movie that this creature lands in this planet. Jim Caviezel lands on this planet. He's basically he's not from this world, but he lands like, he's from the future or he's from another planet, but he basically lands during Viking times, and there is this creature that is killing people. Cool premise.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a good movie. But like I said, definitely there's nothing authentic about the movie, nothing original. But there is some cool scenes. Ron Perlman is in the movie.
Well, we all like him. He looks very outlandish.
Yeah.
He looks like a mountain man, if you will. Yeah. No, but I actually think that's a good premise for just an Predator spinoff. How they always put the Predator in, like, because he's always fighting the best warriors in the world.
Yeah.
So he's fought the Native Americans. I'm pretty sure the next one's like with the Revolutionary War that's coming out. To put him up against Vikings.
Yeah.
Put all the Skarsgårds in it. I'm pretty sure they'd be down. You get a good director, dude. That's a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
People would line up.
Absolutely.
Bring theaters back.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is that where this movie goes wrong is Predator actually is a guy in a suit that looks very authentic and is scary looking and is ferocious.
And he looks human. That's one thing. I remember the original Jean-Claude Van Damme version, which he looked like a fucking weird sci-fi alien. The new, once they got Jean-Claude out and they redid the outfit, what Predator ended up looked like a warrior. So that is scary to me, like a giant fucking guy. So he can do pretty much everything you can do, plus more.
Yes,
he has technology, makes him go invisible. That's already scary, dude.
Yeah,
we're the craziest creatures out there. There's nothing more terrifying than people.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. I mean, this movie, not only that, but the guy is real, and you don't get to see the Predator until an hour into the original Predator movie. You see a leg, you see an arm, you see certain parts, but you don't see the full creature until he reveals himself coming out of the water.
They show you him hunting.
Exactly.
Hunting.
Yeah, and like I said, in this movie they show you the creature. It's CGI, and that's where the movie kind of falls flat. It's not great, but like I said, it's a 5 or a 6 movie as far as action movie. Not great as far as a Viking movie, but definitely worth checking out. That's why I put it as an honorable mention. I'm going to start with the top 7, and there's this called the Raven Trilogy. There's 3 films, and I think this is a collaboration between Iceland, Denmark, and I think Norway. And the Raven Trilogy, there's 3 films, is basically like a spaghetti western. All of these are revenge tales about certain characters, and the first one is called When the Raven Flies. The second one is called In the Shadow of the Raven, and the third movie is The White Viking. All 3 movies, I thought they're not high budgeted movies, but they're interesting. There's a lot of these movies are rated R for a reason. Like I said, there is a lot of violence, there's a lot of nudity in these movies. But they're a little bit slow paced. Like I said, good movies, definitely worth checking out. and I couldn't find the best version of this movies. Like I said, they didn't have anything that was Blu-ray quality or anything of that nature. Even like some of the stuff wasn't even like DVD quality. But I did watch him. It was, like I said, the translation was good. Some good scenes there, but a very slow-paced movies. Not crazy good action. Like I said, definitely dated because these movies were made in the 80s and 90s. But definitely worth checking out. Like I said, if they're going to make a movie like that, it probably needs to be something like a trilogy or something like that. Maybe you start low budget, you make some money, and then you put it into the next movie and you make it a little bit bigger budget.
Yeah.
And based on how that performs, you can make a third movie, kind of like the Lord of the Rings did, as far as it goes. And another area is that Lord of the Rings kind of killed this genre is because those movies were so fucking good.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say earlier. Is like Lord of the Rings pretty much took that concept of just roaming the lands and being a warrior that's got a sword and a shield. Yeah. I mean, that combined with Game of Thrones. But look where we're at now. Lord of the Rings isn't even fucking Lord of the Rings anymore. They made the stupid TV show that had to be all-inclusive. A gay elf, a gay priest, a gay princess, the black guy, an Indian guy, a Mexican guy. They all have to be. A Chinese elf has to follow along with the rest of the dwarves. And, it takes away from what the movie is. I don't care if you're black, white, Chinese. Who gives a fuck, dude? But the fact that you have to represent every race looks weird to me in a film. Maybe have just like one person, and then the rest of them can be, I don't know, a dwarf. That, like in the fantasies, a dwarf is a race. An elf is a race, right? You don't have to be fucking black or white or Hispanic. Those are the races represented in these fictional tales. And I feel like because they're trying to throw in all these fucking their own agenda, they're not letting the producers and the directors make the film that they want.
No.
So instead they get shit actors and the script just goes out the fucking window. So I thought, the last Lord of the Rings, what was that series called?
I mean, it was The Hobbit. It was made the Hobbit series. There were 3 movies that were made like in 2012, 2013.
But the series, those movies were great. The Hobbit movies. I'm talking about like the actual, like the minis, like the series that they released on Amazon Prime or something.
Yeah.
It fucking, I hope it fails because I couldn't go past the first episode, and I love the Lord of the Rings film. So, even that, they find a way to ruin. So, I'm pretty sure a new Viking film coming out, they're going to try to sneak in every agenda they can. A gay Viking, a black Viking that's also gay and has suicidal tendencies, so he's struggling with
has a disability,
is in a wheelchair
talk,
now, but he's still a warrior. No one can tell this Viking they can't be a warrior, and it's just, you ruined the script, dude. Like, we all know Norway is full of bearded white men, and that's it. There's no but that's Norway, dude. Like, you gotta represent the culture, you gotta represent the region. I feel like in Hollywood, you can't do that. They won't let you.
The crazy thing is that the genre, the fantasy genre, which is like Conan the Barbarian movies, it's sort of like basically the sword movies and sorcerers. When Lord of the Rings came out, it was like, wow, what have we just been watching? Like that Fellowship of the Ring movie, it's so much better than everything that came out before it. And the way it looks, the costumes, where it takes place, even like the Shire in the beginning, like everything that they built with those sets, I mean, it's just so authentic, and the cast is great, but it's so good that it kind of destroyed the genre. Like, they basically said that we can't make this anymore. This guy did it as good as we can, And like I said, he kind of touches the Viking genre, so that's what he looks
adventure, action adventure. What is it? Mythological. I don't want to say sci-fi, but you know, it can broach those areas. I find that they can't make movies like that because they don't have directors that are that quality. So, like today's modern day directors, I don't even know what they... I think they'd rather just make a quick buck. They go in it, like, what will the studio want to sell? Franchises, Godzilla, Marvel, Spider-Man, all those make money more than likely. Even if the movie sucks, it's going to pack out the theater at least day one. They won't sell an original concept anymore. That's why Viking movies won't succeed.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that you have to have somebody that's passionate, like Peter Jackson,
willing to take a loss.
Exactly.
You know,
and you can't look at whenever you do these movies, you can't look at profit. Like I said, these movies are gonna be profitable over time. They might not be profitable right away, but they're gonna be profitable. Like people are gonna, if you make a good movie, as far as a good epic that involves, whether it's gladiators, whether it involves Vikings, any epic of that nature, over time is gonna, if it's good, it's gonna catch up. And like I said, you know, I don't want to go back to the Raven trilogy. Like I said, these are low budget movies, definitely worth checking out. The main thing is that they're basically like The Man with No Name, you know? They're all revenge tales. Something happens to the hero, he has to come back to town, he's gonna kick ass, he's gonna kill people. And it's called, this movie called The Last King, 2016. So this is made, I think it was Denmark that made this movie. And is basically a chase. Like the whole movie is... this baby is born, which is a threat to the king, and there's like 2 or 3 people that basically take the baby. They have to drive across. They're riding horses. They're skiing like downhill, and it's basically like Mad Max in the snow. Like there's a lot of chases.
There is cars in this movie?
No, there's no cars, but like I said, there's like horse chases, there's skiing, there's slides, down riding in snow. The whole thing takes place in snow. It feels like fucking cold shit the whole time. Very hard movie to film just because everything just takes place in snow. All the fighting is in snow, and this movie was very, very entertaining. Because the whole movie is a chase. These guys are being chased. They want him killed. They want the baby killed, and they have to protect the baby. Very interesting story. Like I said, it was definitely a blast, and it felt to me like it was like an hour and 40 minutes long. But it literally, like, it just flew by to me. Like it was like an episode of watching an episode of the show. It just flew by. And good action scenes. You know, the red bearded guy from Game of Thrones. He's actually one of the main characters. In this one, so he probably got the Game of Thrones gig because of this movie.
Probably, yeah.
And
that character and that whole tribe seemed like it was a bunch of Vikings.
Yeah.
Were the wildlings, or I forgot.
Yeah.
They were calling them. Yeah, they were just like nomads.
Exactly.
They just lived in the middle of the woods.
Yep. But definitely, like I said, definitely worth checking out. The movie was a breeze for me. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Good action scenes. It was a lot better than Pathfinder and Outlander. But, you know, a recent movie. Like I said, a good recent action movie, which I was pleasantly surprised. Moving on to number 4 was Vikings. From 1958. This movie is Ragnar Lothbrok, that is played by Kirk Douglas plays the son, or Ragnar Lothbrok. Ernest Borgnine plays his father. He plays Ragnar. And funny thing, is that Kirk Douglas is actually 1 year,
Yeah,
1 year older
yeah.
than Ernest, and Ernest looks the same as he does in Escape from New York in 1958. He looks old. He looks out of shape. He's always yelling. Looks drunk half the time, and like I said, he's definitely great in the movie.
He was drunk half the time.
You better believe it. I mean, the guy was very authentic. Like
Yeah.
he
He was drunk.
he was very methody. That guy, you know, he left me all the way. But yeah, I couldn't believe that he played the father, but he was 1 year younger. I'm like, whoever made the cast of this movie must have been fucking high as a kite.
The director was a dick.
Yeah.
You look older.
Yeah.
You're playing Ragnar.
Yeah. And this is actually they have a lot of like cool sequences. There's a lot of like battle sequences of ships smashing into one another, and a lot of actually guys getting stepped on. Like they go down on the ground and the other guy just jumps on the dude and just steps on his face.
You need that.
But a lot of like battleships, very interesting stuff as far as, you know, crews attacking each other. And interesting point is that Janet Leigh and Janet Leigh from Psycho and Jamie Lee Curtis' mother met her husband in this movie. Tony Curtis. He actually plays. He's basically the brother of Kirk Douglas. He's one of Ragnar's sons. So they met on the set of this movie. Both of them star in this movie. So Janet Leigh, Tony Curtis, and basically they're the mother and father of Jamie Lee Curtis. But they met on the set of this movie. The cool sequence at the end of the movie is they raid this castle that looks very, very authentic. Like it looks like a Northman castle, and or an English castle. It could be either one, but it looks very authentic. It's made on this cliff, and it's basically on the edge of this cliff. And the way they're raided and the way they have to get in, I hadn't seen it before, but it was very interesting because at the end of the movie, once they get into the thing, into the castle, there's a really cool battle sequence on top of the castle between Tony Curtis and Kirk Douglas that they're fighting in the steps, and you can see like it's super dangerous. They're like throwing each other, and like I said, you can actually see that it's actually the actors in there. But very, very cool fight sequence at the end. A lot of cool sequences. Again, this movie was less than 2 hours long. It was a breeze to go through. So I'm glad I found it, and definitely worth checking out. Like, this is probably the number one American movie considered as far as Vikings from 1958. There was a mainstream movie that was a hit as far as it goes, and I think it did very well. I don't know if you ever seen this one. Have you ever watched it? Vikings 1958?
No, I watched the show on the History Channel instead.
Yeah.
I don't watch many movies from the 50s.
But like I said, this is definitely worth checking out. Like I said, The Lost Ship and Viking from 1958, definitely good action and adventure movies. Moving on, number 3 is Valhalla Rising. The hero is basically, this movie was made in 2009.
Where have I heard that before? Where have I seen? What is Valhalla Rising?
Mads Mikkelsen plays a guy with one eye.
Oh.
And
fuck. I remember this movie, dude. Weren't they just beating him up in the beginning of the film? They
beat him up, and at the beginning of the movie, it just starts with him fighting a bunch of guys.
Yeah. And
it's fucking savagery. Some of the worst kills I've ever seen depicted in movies.
Whatever happened to Mads Mikkelsen?
He's still around. Still doing movies.
Like, what do they run out of fucking bad guys? International arms dealers? You know? Like, the dude is the poster boy for that. Like, can't you just make a movie about us trading Brittany Garner for Mads Mikkelsen, to Russia, and they get their arms deal, and we get to see, we know what we got out of Brittany Garner, clearly, nothing. And then we get to see the journey of this arms dealer being released from U.S. Custody to Russia, and how I'd rather see that story. I really want to see that story. Where do you go from there?
I would love to see Mads Mikkelsen play an arms dealer. Dude. Like Lord of War type of movie with Mads Mikkelsen.
That's what he is.
I'm all in.
He's no makeup needed. He looks just like one of those guys.
He's actually played the good guy because he's done a lot of these movies from his native country, and he plays like he was in Another Round, which is this movie that got Oscar acclaim. He was in The Hunt. But he actually reprised his role as the villain in the last Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, he was in that?
Yeah, he was the villain in the last Indiana Jones movie.
I thought it was or something.
Yeah.
A commercial. You don't even see him in the trailer.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job at that. As far as there was too many heroes and too many villains in that movie. It's like there was too much of everything and not enough essence. But going back into Valhalla Rising. It's a bleak, dark movie. It is about the journey of this guy escaping prison. He takes his kid, and he basically they go on this other crew, and they are coming into the United States. And instead of them finding prosperity in the United States, all they find is death. And like I said, horrible shit just happens in this movie across the board. It's a short movie, but the reason why I put it at number 3 is that it's not that rewatchable. It's a bleak movie. It's not that enjoyable, but it does have some cool sequences. There's a lot of cool camera work. Like there's a scene of the sky turns red, and it's just a beautiful shot movie, but it's not. It's made from the same guy that did Drive, Nicholas Fine Rife. And like I said, he did this movie, and I think it was right before he did Bronson too. So it is pretty violent, but not as enjoyable as I would say. The Last Ship and Vikings were definitely more enjoyable in this movie, but I think that this is a little bit more authentic to like Viking culture and how it was at that time. So I had to put it at number 3. Speaking of number 2 was Northman, 2022. I thought that this is gonna be the authentic Viking movie. I think this is gonna be the one that basically takes over. It's Anna Taylor-Joy, Alexander Skarsgård is in the movie, Klaus Bang, Nicole Kidman.
You know what we got? We got Assassin's Creed Valhalla instead. We didn't get fucking the definitive Viking film. We got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which sucks. By the way, if you've played any Assassin's Creed game, nobody likes fucking Assassin's Creed Vikings. That's retarded.
Yeah.
And this movie was right along the same lines as that. There was a magical sword. He had to go fight this skeleton demon to get. It went from a fucking kid trying to get vengeance for his mother and father's death to him going through this dumb journey and fighting mythological beings to get this dumb swords just so he could go face the killer of his dad, which had his mom. It was his mom's idea the whole time. This is a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen The Northman, I'm going to spoil it for you because I don't care. The bad guy sucks. In this movie, he's probably a really good actor. You know, they're all really good actors. But in this film, it's like nobody cared. They approached it like I'm approaching the review for this Northman. They were like, oh, we're going to get the Viking burial, the funeral, where the wife also goes haywire and dies with the husband.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like we were gonna get all of that, and instead we got a stupid revenge story. I don't even remember how the movie ended.
Well,
Did they even kill the bad guy?
They fight.
He kills him. They find a volcano.
Volcano.
Do the volcanoes even exist up there in the north?
I mean, well, you know, you would have to find one, but there's definitely a volcano in this movie.
I know that there's volcanoes, you know, in Italy or what have you.
I think Greenland has a lot of volcano, like Greenland. Really? Yeah, but I don't know if it's like Iceland or I think Greenland is known for like volcano eruptions.
I found that movie to be weird.
Yeah.
And the ending was like just out of some dumb video game.
Yeah.
You fight in the background of a volcano. What is this, Tekken 8?
Yeah.
I don't want it. Take it back. Rewrite it.
The crazy thing is that you know, this movie, like I said, I was so hyped up. I thought when this trailer came out, I thought it was one of the best trailers I ever seen. And by the way, Willem Dafoe and Ethan Hawke are in this movie. Ethan Hawke plays the father, which I think, you know, the casting of this movie is really, really good. Like, everybody looks like they're supposed to be. Like, everybody looks like a Viking. The only person that's misplaced in this movie is Nicole Kidman, because she doesn't look like a human being at all in this movie.
She's one of the aliens.
Yeah, I'm like, she looks like she was dropped up from another planet, and she looks like very plasticky in this movie. And like, to me, like, I thought she was completely miscast in this movie, because she doesn't look like anybody from any time in this movie.
One of the Desperate Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Yeah. I mean, she just didn't look. She didn't look the part to me. Her performance in the movie is not great, and like I said, the reason why I don't think this movie is as good as it needs to be is because it's not that rewatchable. There's a lot of cool sequences. There's the raid sequence. There's the fight at the end, which is awesome. There is the beginning when the father gets ambushed.
That was actually the best part, you know. And then when they showed you how this guy grew up and he pillaged villages and stuff like that. But even that, it was almost like a compilation of scenes that you didn't really see a full thing where he just destroyed a village. It was very, there was a lot of cuts. Mm-hmm. Not enough Willem Dafoe, not enough Ethan Hawke. He went out like a chump.
Yeah.
You know, the movie kind of let you down if you're going to go into it thinking you're going to find a serious movie that's going to show you everything Vikings do. This was very much like a fantasy type of revenge story.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I think it was like based on a play by Shakespeare, so it's definitely a tale of revenge. I think it was Hamlet or one of those, you know.
Based on Hamlet?
Yeah, it's based on like Hamlet or one of those Shakespearean tales.
We moved that to fucking Denzel Washington to play fucking Shakespeare.
But yeah, I thought that this movie, I wanted to see the hero having some good moments, and there's no good moments in this movie. He's never having fun. Like, the whole time he's like looking for revenge, and there is no like fun interactions. Like, even the interaction with him and Anna Taylor-Joy, they're not really fun. Yeah. Like I said, because he's not really focused on anything other than revenge, and it's definitely not that rewatchable. It feels like the movie is like 2 hours plus, and it feels like 2 hours plus. It feels like a long movie. I watched it 3 times, thinking, I'm gonna like it more and more. And like I said, there is certain sequences in the movies I like, and there is certain stuff that I thought they should have just cut off in the movie. I thought they should have added some light-hearted moments in the movie, something that was funny, something that was kind of like, different. They kind of took you out of the story a little bit. But there is nothing lighthearted in this movie. I mean, it's pure savagery. And like I said, the whole time is just looking for the revenge.
And then once he gets the revenge, once he gets to the point where he could kill the king, he's like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it a little harder on myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but it's just one thing after another. It's like he has like 5 ample opportunities to kill this king. You know, just like he ends up working for him as a stable boy or some shit. You know, so he could just sneak up and stab him in the neck at night. But no, he wants to do this in a proper way with his fantasy sword. It's a film that it starts off captivating, and then you're scrolling on your phone the second half of the movie, just, you know, kind of giving it some attention but not all. And it doesn't keep you in. It's not a film it dies off throughout, you know, and it gets worse and worse as the movie progresses. That's not a good feature, dude. You should wait. You should be on the edge of your seat till the very end, and then you wait for the ending, like a climactic thing. And for me, once he got to the end to fight the bad guy, I didn't give a shit anymore. He already fucked up too many times. He got in so many second, third chances to.
Yeah. He drags out. I'm
out. I checked out.
Yeah.
Let alone him.
Yeah. He definitely, like I said, the movie drags out a little bit too long. Like I said, they could have probably cut 20 minutes out of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a cool sequences that they're playing this game, him versus the mountain, and I thought that was pretty cool. They kind of chase. No, they're playing like almost like rugby, but it's like them hitting each other with like sticks. And he's playing against the mountain.
That was in the beginning?
It's like at the end of the movie, like I said, there's cool sequences, like, because people get killed in this game.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, but there was some cool sequences. Like I said, I watched it again, and like I said, there's a lot of like cool sequences. By all accounts, this movie should be number 1. Yeah. I know it's in everybody's list as number 1.
Right.
But we're going to talk about the number 1 movie right now.
According to us, of course. Yeah. It's not like what you could have a different number 1. You could possibly think, you know, that last one was the best Viking movie you've ever seen, and there's nothing wrong with that. Movies are subjective like that. For me, as my number 1, I wanted to have like all the mystique and lore of what Vikings are known for, which is, you know, savage hunters, warriors, noble warriors that step up to the face of adversity. Also, kind of funny and lighthearted. Vikings aren't always savages. Sometimes they have fucking funny shit that happens. And that's how they stay like a band of brothers, you know? Like, they were the original warriors that you didn't fuck around with.
Right. But do we want to... So I'm going to let you make the announcement. The number 1 movie that we have of all time is...
It's The Art of the Deal, written by Donald Trump. That's the number 1, because there's no better warrior than him. I mean, you saw him try to make a deal with Zelensky.
Yeah,
there's no better deal maker. So it's the 13th warrior, obviously.
Yeah,
but this movie didn't even make budget. This is what kills me. It's like, even what they spent on making this movie, they couldn't even make back. But this movie was so perfectly done. And it not only showed you the journey of a man that wasn't a Viking, but he became one of them. He was actually of Muslim descent, played by Antonio Banderas. He became one of the Vikings. He was chosen to go out and hunt this group of savage cannibals in this land that was that still belonged to the Vikings. They summoned and these Viking Nords from their land, the king from there, he invited them because he knew these guys were the top warriors of any land, right? So he sent his best ships and he said, yo, I need you guys to come here. I have a plague in my land. We have fucking cannibals, like monsters eating our people. And these Vikings, 12 Vikings... already enlisted, and the 13th couldn't be of Nordic descent. They had to be a foreigner. Yeah. And the only foreigner in the room at the time was Antonio Banderas. He was actually playing a Muslim guy. Yeah. Right? Sent there just to, for diplomacy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's him and Omar Sharif from Lawrence of Arabia.
That guy. He's like fucking 80 years old.
Yeah.
So they had to send Antonio Banderas, obviously. Yeah. And the man was a pacifist. He didn't want to. He was of noble descent. He didn't want to fucking go out in the savage lands and become a warrior. But he had no choice, and that's why the movie worked. Because you witness it from the eyes of a pussy, like 90% of the people today, watching these fucking savage beasts go and face adversity, just like it is to enlist and go to war, right? And they didn't even have rifles. They had it. They were gonna go face to face and possibly die.
Yeah.
And Antonio Banderas didn't even enlist, dude. They kind of just took him. Like, that was it. You're the 13th. You're coming with us. So through the eyes of this guy, you got to see everything Vikings did. Yeah. How they ate, how they laid the land, how they traveled. Yeah. Remember, he was on the boat ride for like fucking months. He got sick because he wasn't used to the long journeys. Yeah. Seasickness. They don't show that shit in fucking Viking movies anymore.
Yeah.
All that happens.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of this film, I didn't want to spoil anymore, but I can.
I think we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie. I think this movie, to me, this movie is like one of those movies that came out in 1999, and it's one of those movies I have to watch every year. Like, I have a blast watching this movie. From the beginning, when they get ambushed, and literally whoever ambushes them always sees that the Viking ship's coming towards them, and it says, "Fuck this, let's leave. The Vikings are coming." Yeah, that's all you need to know. Like I said,
Vikings are top of the line.
Exactly.
Navy SEALs.
Exactly. So that's all you need to know is like the Vikings come in, him and Omar Sharif get thrown into this culture. And there is a scene that's got to be one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in movie history. It's the scene with the tub that they wake up the next morning and they pass the tub around and everybody...
water.
Yeah.
Plate of water.
Everybody washes their face, blows their nose, and that just tells you how close these Vikings are. And at the end, the guy passes it to Antonio Banderas after everybody is
you don't want to touch it.
Is blown their nose
right.
and wash their face. And he just tells you, like, these Vikings just didn't give a fuck. Like, they didn't care about, anything like that. Like I said, these guys just considered each other brothers. And they're basically a team. Like, the way they fight as a team. And the movie, from the beginning to the end of the movie, it feels like a breeze to me. Like, he just starts learning about this culture. He learns about how they feel about the elders. This is the first movie I've ever seen a Viking funeral. Like, what that was about. They lift the girl up in the air. We've never seen it before. I don't know who's seen it before anywhere else.
So authentic. Like, every little inkling of this movie, they try to capture the essence. I wish they would do this. And this movie isn't even about Vikings. It's about this Muslim guy that has to man up and be a warrior among these Vikings. And that's why you kind of feel for this guy, because like it's against his will in a sense, but he has to do it. And also, he ends up growing and becoming one of the Vikings. By the end of the film, he becomes this Viking. He knows what it's like to be one of these savages. Yeah. And that's when you realize how good this film is. It made you, the entire story, believe like these Vikings are assholes. They're bad guys. I mean, they're feared for a reason, right? And then by the end of them, you feel for every character. You kind of, get attached. When one of them dies, you're like, damn, dude, they actually killed that guy. And, by the end of the film, you're just hoping that they don't kill Banderas. Because, you're literally him. And you're transported. And movies today don't even fucking transport you anywhere. I feel half the time, I've been watching a 4-hour movie when I've been watching, it's only been 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the movies today have that. In this movie, like I said, his journey is from just learning this culture.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't understand the language.
Yep.
He is getting teased left and right. These guys are making fun of him because he's smaller than they are. Mm-hmm. He can't carry a sword that size. His horse is too small. Yeah. Nothing is big enough for these Vikings. They're always teasing him.
Big men.
And literally, he has to stand up for himself. He has to defend, because there's nobody else who's going to be defending him. But the journey starts with basically a tribe in the north is getting attacked by we don't know what. And that's all we need to know. It's already terrifying.
They look like animals. At first, I know I said cannibals, but at first, you can't tell. They look like they have these bare pelts over them, and they use claws, so you think they're animals, rightfully so. And they call them the serpent because they travel at night, and you see the snake outline from the torches they carry when they burn your village down. Mm-hmm. They come in and it looks like a fucking serpent is just coming down, leading its way to your fucking town. So that's what all they think. They didn't have any fucking drones. Yeah. They didn't have any cameras. No. They don't peek to see who's out there in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. Plus, these guys are in disguise. Clearly, these dudes were going in for guerrilla warfare, and you find out that they are savages. Yeah. They're not quite animals, but they're pretty fucking close.
And they only fight at night. They only fight at night. They're coming in at night. You are not going to be able to see them coming. And the main thing is they come in numbers. You're going to be outnumbered because they have a lot of people. We don't know if they're people or not, but they come in numbers. They come in at night. They can kill anybody. They kill women. They kill children. They have no remorse for anything. And like I said, you don't get to see it until the end of the movie what this enemy really is. Yeah. And they're faceless, which is even more terrifying that they're faceless. You can't put a thing into it. All they know is they heard stories about this thing. Somebody fought him. The guy that tells big as a bear.
Yeah. And that's part of it. Antonio Banderas, his religion prevents him from killing animals, right? And then he finds out they're man, and he's like, well, I can do that because then I'm defending. I'm killing a man, but I'm defending myself. So it's almost in self-defense, where his religion, I guess, forbids him to kill animals. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. It's cool because it captures different dynamics of how Vikings perceive manslaughter or whatever they're out there to kill, as opposed to this guy. He has rules. He's like, I'm not going to kill an innocent animal, even if the animal is eating. It's probably hunting to live. Once he finds out that these guys are savage beasts, people that are just cannibals. He feels like, I can kill these guys. It's actually, it's not that big of a deal now. So they slowly convert him into that, his old ways, and he put his survival first, puts religion in the back burner, and that was really cool to see. Mm-hmm. How his character transformed to being one of those Viking warriors. Which is really nice. Yeah. And one of the coolest sequences is the sequence that they're all laughing around. They're gathered around the fire, and they're just making fun. And some guy throws an insult about Antonio Banderas' mother. And Antonio Banderas has been looking at these guys for months, getting sick of their faces, getting tired of being insulted, studying and understanding them.
and he actually understands what this guy says, and he responds and insults the guy right back, right into his face, and the guy is coming and charging at him, and they stop him. The other Vikings stop the guy, and they tell Banderas, like, basically, how did you know? Like, what have you been pretending like you don't know the whole time? And Banderas just tells them, I learned. I listened. Yeah. You know?
And that's when they realize he's a smart guy. Like, we got a good, smart warrior among us. They didn't look at him like, oh, he's the weak bitch of the crew. It's like, no, we could utilize this guy.
Yeah. And everybody in their crew has their job. Like, you got the guy that's a navigator. You got the guy that tracks things down. You got the short guy, Dennis, played by Dennis Torai, which we're gonna talk about him because he's a character and a half.
Yeah.
Like the guy that befriends Banderas, he's like I said, he's just awesome in this movie.
They had all kinds of warriors. They had the one dude with the long black hair.
Yeah.
And they're all like fucking Nordic. So
yeah.
that's the cool thing. That guy was like the scout. He would be on top of the trees. Mm-hmm. He used a bow and arrow. So they all had warriors that were worth their weight in gold, right? And then Antonio Banderas.
Exactly. So everybody has their own thing. Like everybody, and they instead of them like realizing and saying how this guy is oh, maybe this guy is meant to be part of us because he offers something that none of us have. And they embrace that. Yeah. And they embrace him right away as soon as they find out that this guy is able to learn things, is able to accept what is going on here. And even like the guy, they have a weapons guy, the guy that sharpens the knives. Like they have a black ship. Everybody does a blacksmith. They have everybody in the crew in the 13th out of the 13th warrior, and people are, even with as brave as they are, the first night they get attacked is one of the most frightening sequences. I mean, they're all laying down at night, and these things are coming when people are sleeping.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even see them coming. They're just coming, and these guys are ready for them. And even if them being ready, they lose like 2 or 3 people in the first night.
And do you remember, like, they arrived there, right? And the king spoke to the Viking leader, spoke to the king that summoned them, and he told him, like, I knew your dad, and, I need help, and this, that, and the other. And then Banderas asked his buddy, like, are you guys not gonna drink? And they're like, no, we don't drink the first night because we're expecting an attack. Yeah. But everybody else is drinking and partying. Right. So they know that those cannibals are watching as these guys are partying. So they know they're going to be attacked. So they stay stone cold sober so they can fight them as soon as it happens. We want to catch one of them and see what they look like. And that's the beauty of it. He asks him, aren't you guys trying to drink and party? Yeah. And he's like, no, dude, we're not going to fucking party. We're here for business.
Absolutely. And like that's one of my favorite sequences too, is because he tells you like when these guys are ready to go, they're ready to go. Like they didn't just travel all this way to do nothing. Like they might have not faced this enemy before, but I'm sure they faced something like it before. Like, they've been through this before. Yeah. These guys, like, none of these guys are, like, in their 20s. Like, some of these guys are in the 30s, 40s. The king...
There's an old guy in there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an old guy in the group. Yeah. There's an old guy in there. There's, like, a giant guy, like, 6'9". I mean, everybody's different. You recognize all the dudes. But the 2 characters I want to talk to the most is the king. His name is, I believe, is Beowulf in the movie. He's the Viking king. He's the guy, the leader of the crew. That's the one that everybody believes in.
Beowulf?
He's not playing Beowulf, but I believe his name in the movie was called Beowulf.
That's pretty cool.
And
what if he was Beowulf?
I mean, he could have been.
Just another notch on his belt.
Yeah. I mean, but it was a pretty common name as far as that goes. Yeah. And then the other guy plays by Dennis Torai. is the guy that befriends Banderas, that's showing him around. And this guy, I don't know why this guy didn't become a bigger actor in the United States, because that dude is just charismatic. Speaks perfect English in the movie. He's funny as shit in the movie, in a lot of the scenes. He's like the party guy. He's the guy everybody likes. He's the glue to all the team. Like, and he's just, the actor is just so charismatic in this role that he kind of, for me, kind of takes over the movie. Like, he is like my favorite character in this movie. Like, every time he's in the scene, I can't take my eyes off of the guy. He just eats the scenery every time. Like, even the scene when he knows that the other guy is trying to kill his father, he picks a fight with the giant guy for no reason. He throws mud at him. And he's just letting the giant guy just bullying him around, and with
challenges.
Yeah, exactly. He just lets the guy, and it's like everybody thinks, "Oh, this guy is gonna get killed. He's small."
He did the prison yard tactic. He picks on the biggest guy. To establish dominance, and then he fucking cuts his head off.
Yeah, and with one move. Like, basically, the big guy is working for the guy that's trying to have his father killed, who's the prince in this village, and they basically are trying to say, "Hey, we have bigger problems. Like, we might not be here tomorrow. This enemy that's coming here is gonna erase us all." It's like, hey, the guy with one move, he doesn't even have to say a word. He challenges the biggest guy that works for the guy that's conspiring against his father. And he lets the guy bullying him around. Everybody thinks this guy is going to die. One move cuts the guy's head off.
And it was like the king's son, wasn't it? Like, the king's son was the dude that
he was conspiring.
Like the Vikings.
Yeah, he hated them, hated his father.
Himself.
Yeah.
He wanted to take over. Hopefully, the cannibals killed the village and killed his dad, so he could just take over and be king. The easy way. And in reality, it's like, these Vikings knew that this guy was conspiring against his dad, and he's like, let me handle this real quick. Like, I'm not going to kill the son, but I'm going to kill his main hand so he knows exactly who he's fucking with. And he does just that. His son, you don't see much of the prince, I guess, the king's son. But what you do see, you already know, like, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's just a piece of shit. Like, he doesn't care about anybody else. All he wants to do is be king. And like I said, he thinks, oh, this is going to work out itself. I'm going to become king. He's like, no, these guys are coming to attack us. They want to kill everybody here. And let's worry about this other stuff later. And now we just need to be together. And the guy with one move, he just fucking shuts him up. And like I said, there's no more. He basically tells the guy, he's like, with one move, I can kill you. Like, there's nothing you can do, like I said, to stop us. And like I said, if you fuck up again, you're going to end up like your friend.
Yeah. It showed him that, like, size doesn't matter. Like, I have technique.
Yeah.
That guy had all the size, right? He was a brute. And they did the whole thing, which I liked, by the way. The whole shield game where you smash 3 shields and then you're out of shields. Then you have to fight without a shield.
Right.
Or you bend the knee and you let him chop your head. Dude, they don't do that in any movie. Like, that's the first movie I figured that out. I was like, wait, that's a game? Like, they did that back then? They had rules and everything. That was fucking amazing. I wish they would do more creative things like that in film. I don't know why they don't do it, but that scene where that guy challenges the smaller Viking and he gets beheaded, because honestly, he was, even though he was the big brute, he wore himself out doing all that swinging, and that's all that small guy was trying to prove. The small Viking is like, dude, you're gonna have all the size you want. I have technique. Once wrong swing, he spun around, chopped his head real quick.
And it starts out, the whole thing starts as a game because the guy breaks all 3 shields.
Yeah.
And the guy, not only that, he said, you broke 3 shields. Now you're gonna have to kill me, and I don't play fair. Like I'm not gonna. I don't play games. I fuck people up. Like I kill people. Like if you think this is a game, to me it's not a game. And he just cuts the guy's head off with one swing. And like I said, one of the coolest sequences I've seen in movies. And like I said, this movie has so many of those sequences. And then we're gonna lead up to the end of the movie when we find out what this enemy is. And man, oh man, these guys are almost like the people in The Descent. Like they're cave people. Even the way they find this cave is pretty cool. Like, you know, they're in the ground. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like these guys have to travel. It's in the ground, and these guys are just cannibals. I mean, they're like, you know, prehistoric humans. I mean, they're like painted up. They look ugly. And they look nasty. I mean, they just eat left and right. Yeah. But like I said, the way they looked and the way they picked some of these characters, they just look ferocious. But we find out they're human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And the guy ends up killing the main witch in the movie. And like I said, this movie just fucking rules, man. Like the whole sequences, the way they have to escape when they get found out. They have to make an escape. Everything about this sequence is I love. They have to go underneath the water.
Yeah,
they lose. They lose more people, which we care about. And the whole thing is just fucking great.
I think it comes down to like 4 people at the end.
Yeah, the end is only like 3 or 4 people left. Yeah. And like I said, they have to have the last battle sequences. But this movie, like I said, to me, it works because, you know, like this movie wouldn't work without Antonio Banderas. Like you need Antonio Banderas because he's the star. And I've heard like people online saying, well, he shouldn't have never played this role. He's Muslim. People need to realize what kind of a star Antonio Banderas was in 1999.
Yeah.
Like
he was the best.
I remember him in Assassins with Stallone. And I went into that movie thinking, oh, Stallone is going to steal this movie. And he plays the bad guy in the movie. And he just he's eating the scenery. Like, he's over the top. He's trying to he's trying to kill Stallone. He's trying to kill Julianne Moore. He's fucking great in Assassins. That's the first movie I've ever seen him in. And he's just eating out the scenery. And then after that, I saw him in Desperado, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy's a star. Yeah. Like he has the looks, he has the charisma, he carries that opening scene of him, you know, killing the bartender and killing everybody in the bar. I'm like, this guy is a bona fide star. And then his next movie after that is The Mask of Zorro. Those were my first 3 movies I've seen this guy.
I love that Zorro movie, by the way.
And I mean, it's basically the Count of Monte Cristo done in the Zorro thing, and it just works. I mean, he's perfect in that movie. Anthony Hopkins is perfect in that movie, but he's a bona fide star. And a lot of things that people didn't know that he was up for Gladiator. And before he was all for Gladiator, turned down Gladiator to take this movie.
That's a damn shame that like this movie didn't get as much notoriety as Gladiator, because I think it's just every bit as good as Gladiator, if not better. Depends on what you're into at the time. Like if you feel like watching a Roman Empire movie, Gladiator. Viking movie, there's no better.
Yeah. I think you need everybody in this movie. You need the king. You need the Danish Tarai. You need Antonio Banderas. The Banderas is a star. Oh, yeah. He's the face in the poster of this movie. And like I said, even though they become more important, the Viking in the movies, they become more important, and he becomes one of the guys, Banderas is still the hero. Like, we're seeing the story through his eyes, and it only works because it's Antonio Banderas.
And that's how I appreciate when they sneak diversity in it. It's when they're playing, like someone like Banderas is playing someone diverse. Yeah. Like the role of a Muslim, the Muslim prince or whatever. got appointed to go to the northern lands, and the king at the time of the Muslim Empire, he was actually sabotaging him. He sent him there to die. Right? He's like, no way.
Yeah, he slept with like one of the caliph's wife. It starts out like that.
Exactly. That's why he sent him to the foreign lands, so he could fucking die. And in reality, it's like it made this guy a strong. And you get to see a man that's not even from this culture. So culture appropriation. It has all of those. Being put in a place that's just he's not comfortable in. And he grows and adapts. That's adversity at its finest. And when they do it right, it's beautiful. Because it's in the script. Not just put fucking random... gay transvestites as the new elf in Lord of the Rings. That makes no fucking sense to me, dude. You have to do it tastefully. It has to be something that's already written in the script, and it's got to be like believable. Like this is a believable story. I'm not gonna believe somebody had a sex change back in the fucking Middle Ages.
To me, like I don't give a fuck. Antonio, like I know Antonio Banderas is from Spain. I know he's not a Muslim.
And I don't care that he played a Muslim guy. It's just at least he played the role that he was supposed to, and he was diverse from the Vikings. That's all I'm
100%. And not only that, but I 100% believed like this would be Omar Sharif if this movie was 20 years.
Absolutely.
If this movie was made in 1979. It's Omar Sharif playing that role, and like I said, but this movie took place in 1999, and there is no bigger star at that time than Antonio Banderas when it comes to action.
And how good was Omar Sharif's fucking... He was the narrator.
I mean, he's great in the movie.
Voice. So
I wanted to see more. If there's a character I wanted to see more, is that character Omar Sharif. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more with him and Antonio Banderas in the beginning.
Deleted scenes or something.
Something, maybe an extra scene, kind of to prepare him. Like he gives him some advice. Then what's happening?
Do they have a 4K version of that movie? Like a book?
It's not a good quality. Everything they have, they definitely need to fix it.
Dude, they did Star Wars in 4K. The one from the fucking 80s, alright? They can make this movie in 4K. They can clean it up really well.
I absolutely think they need to, man. I think this movie, and there's a lot of dark sequences, so you definitely need a 4K quality upgrade because, like I said, the Blu-ray is good. Like I said, good enough. But I think if you put it in 4K, all the dark scenes are gonna pop out. All the cave scenes. So you definitely need it. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about that is Michael Crichton, the writer of the book, and the book was called The Eaters of the Dead. And that was gonna be the original title for this movie instead of 13th Warrior. His neighbor goes to him before production and tells him, "Hey, are they working on your books?" And the guy tells him, "Yeah, they're doing one of my early books, Eaters of the Dead. They're converting it to a movie." And his neighbor tells me, "Is this a horror movie?" and right away he calls the studio and says, "We need to change the title."
Dude, it does sound like a horror movie. Sounds like a fucking zombie movie.
But the crazy thing is, I love that fucking title. Eaters of the Dead.
When like halfway through the movie, like you'd have to watch half the movie, then you realize, like, oh wait, that is a good title. But if you just watch the trailer and you really know, you're like, what's going on? Why is it titled that? It's kind of fucking weird. Who's eating the dead? Then you realize, it's those cannibals. That it makes completely fucking sense. So. It's a good title, and for the book, it makes sense for the title. The film, I like the film adaptation had a different title. So it just makes it that much more distinct. Movies based on books usually are really good. Some of my favorite. It's the ones that are based on video games that are the biggest pieces of shit. And I could have honestly. I thought The Northman was based on a video game, as bad as that movie was. Like, right? There was a lot of video game parts.
There was a lot of things like
fighting the skeleton. I would have had that in a video game level.
Absolutely. The other thing that was interesting, Michael Crichton, right? He did Jurassic Park. So 1993, his book Jurassic Park turns into a movie. The Lost World turns into a movie. This is his third movie that's being turned into a movie within 6 years. And the crazy thing is, like, this movie, it only made $61.7 million, which I cannot believe my fucking eyes when I heard that. And the movie, he lost the studio $129 million. It was a bomb.
They must have filmed on location, dude. I mean, they went all out. 129 fucking mil just to lose.
Yeah, the movie cost somewhere between 150 to 170 million dollars estimation, which is crazy for the time. But the only reason it cost that much is because they wanted to do a PG-13 movie in the beginning, and they just realized this is not going to be good for this kind of movie. So a lot of the violent scenes in the movie, there were reshoots that they needed to shoot them later. So they need to bring everybody back and reshoot them and add the violent scenes in the movie. But with everything that went wrong, also the director, we have to talk about the director of this movie. The director was John McTiernan, which is one of the best directors of all time. The guy, his first movie is Predator. He follows it with Die Hard after Predator. And I'm like, this guy could have just fucking retired right then and there. Yeah. It would have been a legend. He keeps going. He does The Hunt for Red October, Last Action Hero. And then in the same year, he does basically Die Hard with a Vengeance in 95. But the same year, he does Thomas Crown Affair and 13th Warrior. I mean, the guy, all this within a 10-year span.
Hits.
10 years. Like, he did all this shit in, like, 10 years. The guy is an absolute fucking legend, man. I don't think people talk enough about John McTiernan.
Yeah.
He was fired from the movie, and then Michael Crichton had to, like, finish a lot of the movie himself. And it's funny to see because there's photos of him, like, with the cast. The dude is like 6'9". He's bigger than most of the Vikings.
So he was a Viking.
Yeah. Then I'm like, this guy was like 6'9" tall, and he's taller than most of the Vikings on set. So he must have been fucking intimidating, just telling you what to do. But he finished the movie. So this movie is one of those fucking, like, he probably could have gone a million ways wrong. A million things went wrong. The movie came out good. It's a solid movie. If people haven't seen this movie, go watch it. Like I said, you will not be disappointed. This is one of the best action movies / sword movies as far as it goes. Call it fantasy, call it what you want. Viking movie, like I said, this movie is just fucking epic.
Yep. 13th Warrior, man.
Yeah.
It's the best.
With that being said, did you have any last thoughts? Anything you wanted to add? I think we covered all the bases.
No, that was it. Just wanted to talk about Viking films in general, share our thoughts and experiences. If you guys have a top 10 list with your Viking films, I would have had Beowulf, the animated movie, personally in my list because of just a cast who, like Anthony Hopkins,
great cast.
John Malkovich. I mean, like, dude, and they weren't even the main fucking roles. So there is Viking movies out there, but they're few and far in between. You can't find great movies anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, we need Hollywood to wake up and start making movies great again. And I'm not quoting Trump, but I am. We need Hollywood great again. We need good fucking movies. Can I not say that, dude? The last 4 years were fucking shit.
Yeah.
Absolute trash. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 films out of thousands that come out.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible.
Like I said, hopefully Hollywood gets their shit together. Hopefully a lot of this, European countries can make a classic movie like this. But this is the top 7 Viking movies, with 13th Warrior being number 1. I'm VC.
I'm Joey.
Joey. You guys have a great day. Take it easy.
Take it easy.